So thinking about life, the meaning of life, and how our lives are judged is as old as time. And this passage reminds us that the time is drawing near to make an account for our lives. This is an eschatological vision. That's what theologians call it. So it's an eschatological call to wakefulness, to being fully human and fully alive. So Paul just points out some of the basics in this passage, a few highlights from the Decalogue, the 10 Commandments, or as we call them in the children's worship space, the 10 best ways to live, because they really are. It's good to go back to the basics sometimes for all of us. And the commandments that Paul mentions in this passage are those having to do with how we treat one another, our horizontal relationships with one another. Let love be the foundation of your relationships. The only thing owed to another is love. So how do we become loving human beings? How do we, as we heard last Sunday, let love be genuine? How do we, in fact, be fully human with all of its wonder and complexity? Well, this question, too, is as old as time and as new as Barbie. Surely you've heard of the record-smashing hit summer movie, Barbie. Now, I admit when I first heard there was a movie about Barbie, I wasn't the least bit interested. Not really knowing the history of the development of this doll, I wasn't a Barbie fan. But then something happened. My inbox and my news feed were suddenly filled with articles and reviews and opinion pieces about this film. I read articles in the Christian Century, in Sojourners, in the Reformed Journal, laying out biblical parallels and echoes in the Barbie movie. And these pieces were authored by serious theologians. My curiosity piqued. Barbie as a retelling of Genesis 3, the fall of humankind? Barbie as a hero's journey? And then this week, this really caught my attention. Barbie as a commentary on theological anthropology? That's one of my favorite topics, what it means to be human before God. You see, this movie is actually much more than a feminist manifesto or a plan to put down the patriarchy. At its core, it's a movie about the quest to become fully human. And not only that, but to become fully human in relationship with our Creator. How to embrace all the complexity and beauty and purpose with which we've been endowed by our Creator. How to discover and live into a life of love, since after all, each one of us been created by, in, and for love. Now in Barbie land, everything is plastic and perfect and I think predictable. It truly is nothing but sunshine and unicorns and dance parties, some really great dancing actually. But it's not real. There are no real people, real problems, or real emotions. Even the food is fake, so it contains no real calories, which actually helps the Barbies stay picture perfect. And everything is going along swimmingly until Barbie abruptly asks an existential question. Somewhat out of the blue, she says to the other Barbies, who are, by the way, doctors and presidents and Supreme Court justices, Barbie says, "Do any of you guys ever think about dying?" No, they don't think about dying. What is Barbie talking about? What's wrong with her? You can almost hear them thinking, why is Barbie raining on our perpetual beach party? And so Barbie begins her quest, a quest which ultimately becomes a quest for her creator. Now, obviously, there are probably many levels of interpretation in this film, and probably not everyone in the theater is thinking through the early chapters of Genesis and the fall of humankind, or yearning for our relationship with our Creator, or our desire to become fully human as Jesus himself shows us how to do. But with that said, I actually think it would be hard to miss the nod to Michelangelo's creation of Adam, the famous painting of the fingers nearly touching on the chapel wall of the Sistine Chapel, this chapel ceiling, God's finger reaching out to touch Adam's. It would be hard to miss this echo of Michelangelo in the poignant scene where Barbie's creator, Ruth Handler, who incidentally named Barbie after her daughter, Barbara, reaches out to lovingly hold hands with the one whom she created. It's actually quite a moving moment in the film. Now, ultimately, in and through her journey to the real world, where Barbie experiences love and other emotions, as well as wonder and grace, Barbie decides that what she really, truly wants is to be part of the people who make meaning, rather than the thing that is made. Which brings us back to Paul and his letter to the church at Rome, containing some of the most profound and surely most developed of his theological thoughts. Even as Barbie went through a process of waking up to her real self, waking up to her relationship with her Creator, and to her desire to live a real life, one filled with meaning, so too are we urged to wake up, to remember the finitude of our days, and to get on about the business of living with meaning and purpose and a whole lot of love.